Hello there, fellow awakening mammals. Today, we will delve into the top most influential secret societies that you may not have heard of. Unfortunately, this video would have been too long, so we had to do two parts. The second video will come out next week. All of these societies are deeply entrenched in our world and continue to wield influence on the global stage. We won't be talking about well-known, almost mainstream societies like the Illuminati or Freemasons. There are a plethora of good videos about them already, so there is no need for me just to repeat old talking points. No, today we will be looking in real secret societies that actually wield a lot of power from the shadows. But first... Alright, before we start, let me say we at Awakening Apes want to provide a place for free speech. We believe the best way to come closer to the truth is only through open dialogue. Our topics are often very controversial, and we encourage you to engage in civil discussion down in the comment section. Especially in this video, there is so much to cover, and it's impossible to delve deeply into all societies as they truly deserve. If you let us know which society you'd like us to explore more deeply, we'll certainly accommodate your request. So without further ado, here is our first entry, the Lunar Society. Technically, our first entry isn't really a secret society, but it's similarly exclusive. The Lunar Society was a distinguished intellectual and scientific group that emerged in 18th century England, particularly in Birmingham. Supposedly, they were named after their practice of convening meetings during the full moon. Members claimed that this was because there was more light during a full moon night, making it safer to walk back home. While I believe they named their society based on their monthly meetings during the full moon, I'm skeptical about the notion that they chose this time for the additional light it provides. The Lunar Society was founded in 1760 by famous individuals like Matthew Boulton and Erasmus Darwin. Wait, Darwin? Yes, you heard correctly. Not Charles Darwin, though, but his grandfather Erasmus Darwin. You might have heard of the Darwin-Wedgwood family. Well, this is where it started. Other notable members were James Watt, yes, another familiar name, Joseph Priestley, who later discovered oxygen as an element, and of course Josiah Wedgwood. We will talk a little about some of those people I just named, but first let us discuss what the Lunar Society was all about. Their mission was to be a counterpart to their current worldview, which was shaped back then through religion and the reigning monarchs of their time. Honestly, the Lunar Society was more of a think tank than a true secret society, because society surely knew of them. So why do we want to talk about the Lunar Society? Well, because of their influence on our current times. The Lunar Society has profoundly shaped our current worldview. Without its influence, the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century may not have occurred in the same way. A lot of the members were wealthy business owners who sought ways to automate production and improve efficiency. Perhaps the most famous member was James Watt, who didn't invent the steam engine but made it commercially viable for businesses. But also Erasmus Darwin and Joshua Wedgwood were interesting characters. Wedgwood had a pottery factory and got insanely wealthy with the help of Darwin and the other members. Through the help of their advancements in technology, they were able to outbid any competitors. Even Charles Darwin profited from their generated wealth. Without his grandfather's money, we would probably never heard of Charles Darwin's theories. Most British watchers already know of the Wedgwoods and Darwin's weird family ties. Basically, Erasmus Darwin and Joshua Wedgwood were such good friends that even their grandchildren got married to each other. Another interesting character was Joseph Priestley. As I mentioned earlier, he is best known for his discovery of the oxygen element. But again, our British listeners may have heard of the Priestley riots. Essentially, Priestley was a political extremist and wanted to change the English status quo of his time. He aimed to abolish the monarchy and establish a political system more akin to that of the US. Unfortunately for him, the people of Birmingham weren't fans, hence the Priestley riots. So where am I going with this? It seems to me that a small group of wealthy people were promoting a new worldview for their personal gain. But if you have followed us here at Awakening Apes, you know, we always want to dig deeper and try to connect dots. Sometimes we connect dots where there shouldn't be any made, and sometimes we are onto something. In a previous video about modern-day vampires, I briefly mentioned Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein. Yes, we know she wrote the book in 1818, but the same zeitgeist prevailed at the time. This super-materialistic worldview, that everything is determined and we can conquer every aspect of life, if we just have the intelligence to do so. even create life. This is almost nihilistic.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Today we see new forms of this hubris, in the form of transhumanism. For example, I see Elon's Neuralink as a continuation of said worldview. Wow, that was a lot, considering I didn't want to dig too deep in every topic, but believe me, there could be a lot more said. So, while the Lunar Society may not wield the same influence as it once did, its legacy continues to cast shadows in our time, and its spirit is as alive as ever. Our second entry is the Fabian Society. The Fabian Society also had its beginnings in England, founded in the 1880s. Like the Lunar Society, it consisted of the elite of its era. There are a lot more similarities between both societies. They are both a small group of very important people who meet to find ways to change society. The difference is, the Fabian Society is still active. So why did the Fabian Society make our second entry? Well, for starters, you probably never heard of them. And in my opinion, they have a significant impact on current societal issues. How so? Well, let's begin by showing you their old logo. What do we see? We see a wolf disguised in sheep's clothing. I think this in itself is already disturbing enough. So what are they all about? During that period, England's elites sought to transform the country into a socialist nation. They knew that a communist revolution like the one in Russia would never occur in England. So they decided to go slowly step by step. They tried to shape the society slowly to their liking. If they attempt to implement a new socialist policy and the population opposes it, they would simply wait, rebrand the policy, and try again later. They will go 2 steps ahead and 1 back, just enough so the population won't riot. This is a newer logo concept. It shows a turtle that goes slowly but steadily. It will eventually get what it wants. While we are looking at logos and paintings, here is a window created by a famous member, George Bernard Shaw. It shows 2 people forging the world. This exactly shows the kind of hubris we are dealing with. You will never guess where this window is located. The window is located in the London School of Economics. Wait, what does a famous business school have to do with a socialist? It turns out the school was founded by the Fabian Society. Another way to describe their mindset is by referencing their namesake, the Roman figure Fabius Cunctator, which translates to the delayer. Fabius became famous during the Punic Wars for gradually wearing down Hannibal's army. By the time Hannibal's army reached Rome, it was already weakened. If you ask me, and you kinda did, you clicked on the video. I see this principle still at work today. We won't be going deep into this, because we don't want to get cancelled before this channel even gets established. But concepts that are discussed openly today would have generated a shitstorm just 20 years ago. Like who is allowed in women's sports, for instance. But I digress. So okay, they seem to operate in the shadows to slowly make England more socialistic. How is this so bad? Firstly, their socialism isn't emerging from the working class. Instead, it's utilised as a tool for control by the ruling establishment. But most importantly, the Fabian Society has strong ties into eugenics. Of course they won't call it that today anymore. Remember, the wolf in sheep's clothing. But most of their founding members were all big in the eugenic movement. Here is a quote from leading member Mr. George Bernard Shaw.
I also made it quite clear that socialism means equality of income or nothing, and that under socialism you would not be allowed to be poor. You would be forcibly fed, clothed, lodged, taught and employed whether you like it or not. If it were discovered that you had not character enough to be worth all this trouble, you might possibly be executed in a kind manner, but whilst you were permitted to live, you would have to live well.
I don't know about you, but I find this really disturbing. So what? A few hundred years ago, some random people gathered to make some weird plans. Why should you care? Well, as I mentioned earlier in this video, they are still active. Some famous names from today are Tony Blair, Groden Brown, Diane Abbott, and many more. Even though I can't prove it, it seems to me that Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum share the same mindset. I hope you liked the first part of our Secret Society video. If you did, please like and subscribe. We will upload the second part of this video in about a week from when this video gets uploaded. Thank you, and we hope you have an eye-opening week.